Hi, I'm Debbie Rain. I'm with HomeSmart Connect. I'm a realtor here in the Chicagoland area. I work in the west, northwest, and northern suburbs, and I would be happy to help you if you are looking to buy or sell a home. I love doing both sides of the transaction, so I don't consider myself a listing agent or a buyer's agent. I do both sides and enjoy both thoroughly. So if you're looking for someone to help you out, I would love to have the opportunity to work with you. In the meantime, what I thought I would share with you today is the differences between pre-existing construction and new construction homes. Maybe some things to consider. I have a client that is looking in an area where they have both homes in their consideration. And so some of the things that we've talked about. So I've tried to have them do kind of a pro and cons list so that you can kind of weigh out for yourself what is the ideal situation for you. With new construction, some of the things to consider would be, as a pro, everything is brand new. So everything will be warranted. Most builders all have, or they all have, an 11-month walkthrough. So you kind of do like a punch list. And so anything that you notice with the house, there's a little crack in the wall here, there's a little nail pop here, they'll come through at the 11-month and they'll fix that. Most of the builders, if there's something major that happens before that, you have a big leak or something like that, which hopefully wouldn't happen on new construction anyway. That's what you're trying to avoid with getting new construction. But if you do have something major, most of them will come right out, take a look at it, and get it taken care of for you. So that said, that is something that, like for my children or even for myself, if I were buying a home, I like to think about the new construction options because I'm not a handy person. I'm not good at fixing little things here and there that may break and may come up as you may have with existing. So that's one of the benefits. So you do have a 10-year warranty typically with a new construction home. That's always a big thing. A nice thing as well is that you get to pick out your finishes. So depending on the type of builder you work with, there are some like a DR Horton right now. They're just building homes. Take it as it is. It's new construction, so you're getting new, but you're not getting to choose any of your options. There's some, such as MI, that will allow you to pick a package of, you can get these cabinets and they go with these floors and they go with this light fixture, and they kind of have, their designers have kind of put together packages. So if you're not really good at design, that's already done for you. You just select the one that appeals to you the most. And a lot of times with that too, they have different levels. They're looking at different levels of granite, different levels of quartz, things like that, or different types of cabinets, maybe some that are regular, some that are soft close. So you kind of work your way up. And of course, every time you step up a little bit, you've stepped up a little bit in price. Another thing that is, this is a pro or a con, so it depends on the kind of market you're in. Right now, we're in a competitive seller's market. So the good thing about this is the price is fixed. So you're not going to have to go in and negotiate against 5 other buyers trying to get the same home. You're going to go in, they're going to say, we want X amount of money for this house, and that's what we're going to take for it, and it's done. So there's no negotiation. So depending on the time of the, what type of market we're in, that is can be definitely an advantage. Another thing is, if you're looking in a certain town or certain area, this gives you the ability to pick several floor plans in an area you know that you would like to be in. So that's beneficial as well. It's not like, well, there's only 2 homes for sale in this town, so you need to go ahead and pick one of these 2 homes. You can actually pick something that might suit your family, square footage wise, bedroom wise, bathroom wise, anything like that, right in that area that you know you'd like to be in. Another thing is that some of the builders will offer you incentives to go through their lenders. And so some of the deals right now that I've been seeing, they won't let you pre-order a home. In other words, they won't let you pick out all of your finishes and do all of the things that you'd like to do. But if you pick something that they've already started and they've already gotten approved and they're already going in that path, they will give you a lower interest rate. The market rates right now are running right around 7%. And some of the ones that I've seen from the builders have been 5.875. Of course, this does depend on your credit, and this is for a 30-year fix. But to give you an idea of comparison, that's what I've seen. Some of the builders also will pay a portion of your closing costs. They'll pay $4,000 or $5,000 towards your closing costs. So when you're figuring out the price of your home, of course, when you buy a home, you're going to pay the purchase price, but you also have closing costs of, say, $5,000 on top of that. So if a builder will pay that for you, you're basically getting your home just at what the purchase price is. So that can be a big savings for you as well. Then you can throw that money into the other things, um, all the pretty stuff. So that said, let's go to the pros for an existing home. Um, the closings can be much quicker. If you buy new construction, you're not going to be able to close as quickly. If you buy existing construction and you need to get in quickly, you can do that as long as the seller is able to do that for you. Again, this can be a pro and a con. There is some negotiation room. So if you buy an existing home, depending on the market and depending on what's available, you may be able to negotiate the price down a little bit or negotiate that seller will pay your closing costs or other areas for negotiation. And that would be, again, depending on the market, you would want to refer to your realtor to see what their best advice would be in those events. All of your things like your blinds, your screen doors, your basement may be finished. You may have a deck or patio, you may have a fence. So when you are looking at a house with existing construction, a lot of that work may be done for you. So that can definitely save you a lot of money in the long run. The areas, sorry, I have my little notes over here. The area that you may be looking in normally with an existing construction home is usually a little bit more developed. So when you're buying new construction, there may not be a lot of stores near you. It depends on how far out you're going. There may be no grocery store. It may still be 10, 15 minutes away, or gas station or whatever. And usually when you're looking at existing construction, they've kind of already got the infrastructure there and everything is kind of built up around it. Another thing that might be positive with the existing construction is the landscape. You get much more mature landscaping with existing construction than you do with new construction. Much of our new construction here in Illinois it's farm fields, so there's not a whole lot of trees. There may be some, but there's really not a whole lot of trees. Most of the builders that are buying these big plots of land and building, like the tract housing like D.R. Horton or Lennar or MI, any of those builders, what they're doing is they're buying up some farmland and then they're developing it from there. So you'll have much more mature landscaping usually in an existing construction home. The other thing is you kind of have an idea of where your value is going to be. You have a history there. So if you buy a 20-year-old home, you can kind of see it started at this point. This is where it's going. So you can kind of get a good idea for the growth of the area. If you buy somewhere out in the new construction areas, for example, right now they're building as far west as Marengo and Hampshire, and those are communities that are smaller farm town communities, but they're now starting to boom with new construction. However, it's hard to tell with what you're paying. Is that value going to hold? Are there going to be more homes out there? So you're just not certain. And with existing construction, you're looking at an area that has some history. You can kind of tell what's going to happen in that area, what's been happening in that area. So it gives you just a little bit better foundation as to where, the value for your money and where you may end up. So some of the cons, because there's always pluses and minuses to everything. So with new construction, you cannot typically get a quick close unless you buy some existing inventory they have, which some of the builders, usually what they'll do is they'll leave some lots for people to choose, and then they'll also buy some, or not buy some, they already own them, but they'll go ahead and they'll take an existing lot and they'll build a home on there thinking that it's more like a spec home. If you wanted to look at a model, they can show that one, et cetera, et cetera. So those they will sell and you'll have a shorter lead time on that. But typically for new construction, they seem to run about 6 to 9 months, depending on the builder. So again, the pluses and minuses. So if you are in an aggressive buyer's market, the thing is that they still won't negotiate. So with the builders, basically their price is their price. So they're not going to budge on the prices at all. Another item is their contracts. So most of them have a contract about this big, and they won't change any of the terms. So you can either read through it yourself and feel confident you understand what you're signing and go on with the purchase, or you can hire an attorney and they can review the contract. But in a typical real estate transaction, the attorneys will then have some input into the contract. And if you talk to any of the developers, they'll just say the contract is what it is. So if you'd like an attorney to review it, by all means you should, but they won't be able to change any of the terms of the contract. The contracts are what they are. They also put up a little bit more earnest money typically on new construction than they would on existing construction. And the reason for that is because, again, in a lot of cases, you're selecting all of your options, upgrades, etc. So just because you like it doesn't mean that the next buyer that comes in would like it. So they want a substantial amount of money. So usually the builders are looking at 5 to 10% down, and that is non-refundable. And again, the reason for that is if for some reason you didn't complete the purchase, they now have a home that may have, 3 heads basically. So something that's kind of a unicorn, and it might be a little bit harder sell. So they want that money to hold on to for that purpose. So hopefully you would complete the transaction and it wouldn't be an issue anyway, but in the event that you didn't, that's the reason they do that. Another con could be a plus or minus, but things like your basement won't be finished unless you pay them to do that. Your landscape, it's going to be very immature, and the builders always do a minor amount of landscaping, but after that, you pretty much have to do the rest yourself. So adding trees or landscaping your backyard, putting in a patio, putting in a deck. So again, the advantage can be if you really have some ideas how you would like it done, then it's a good thing. You've got a blank slate. But a con can be that can get very pricey very quickly. So it is something to consider when you're buying new construction. You not only want to think about the acquisition price and closing costs, but you do want to have a little bit extra money in the bank for things like painting, curtains, screen doors, possibly a basement, landscaping, any backyard items, all of that stuff. It does add up, and it's not going to be included. So you just need to make sure that you're happy with that, and that you have thought about what you would like. Another issue can be timing. So the hard part is, as I mentioned, new construction down payments are non-refundable. And the builders will give you 30 days notice before your home is supposed to be done. So you'll sign a contract, and say you sign it on January 1st, and they say, okay, it takes us 9 months. So they say our closing date is September 30th. That said, they're going to give themselves some extra leeway, of course, because they want to make sure if there's any issues that they have them. But what they'll end up doing is, if you have a home to sell, now you're trying to time that in accordance with them, because you're only going to get a 30-day notice. So if they finish the home early and they give you the 30-day notice July 31st, now you've got to hurry up and get your existing home sold so that you can close on the new one. So sometimes the timing can be an issue on that, and it can be very nerve-wracking for people. And the last con that I would say that you may run into it with the new construction is that if you like to sleep late, and the homes, if you're one of the first ones in your neighborhood, you're still going to hear a lot of construction noise. They don't typically start until 7 in the morning, but that can be early for some people. And they typically go until 2 to 4 in the afternoon, depending on how late they need to work. So you will hear a lot of construction noise. So if you're one of the first in, you're going to hear a lot of noise for a while. So you just got to kind of be ready for that as well. Okay, and lastly would be the cons on existing construction, which I don't have a lot of cons actually for existing construction, but it's kind of one big con, and that is decor, repairs, cleanliness, all of that kind of rolled into one package. So when you walk into a home, you're going to see what you see. Everybody lives differently. So you want to consider, am I happy with the bones? Do I feel like it's a well-structured home? And can I live in it until I can change the things I want to change? No home is going to be perfect. So you're going to walk in, you're going to go, I don't really care for that floor. I don't want carpet in that room. I don't want this wall here. I don't like those cabinets. I don't like the countertop, things like that. So even though everything will be done, it doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. So with that said, there's also the sellers they are required to disclose what they know about the home. So if there are any leaks, issues, anything like that, they are required to tell you that on the seller's disclosure. That said, something could happen the day after closing where a pipe could burst, something could break down, an appliance could break down, a mechanical or whatever. Of course, we all do our inspections during the course of the transaction, so hopefully our inspectors have found anything that might be a potential issue, but it doesn't mean, things still happen. So that's, again, the problem with buying existing construction is things still happen, and we don't know what timing would be like. So you just have to be prepared, again, to have a little extra money in the bank for anything that might come up. Also, you will probably still want to customize this home as your own. So it kind of comes down to what are the important things to you? Timing, a comfort level of knowing that they will take a contingency on existing construction where new construction won't, things like that. So there are all sorts of things that you need to take into account when you're trying to figure out what is the best path for you. I have bought basically almost all my homes, with the exception of one. One I did by existing construction, the rest have been new construction. That's just what suits my particular lifestyle. I'm very picky. I want to do my patio my own way. I do screen and porch. I like all the stuff like that. So it is something that you want to consider. And like I said, I did a pros and cons list. That's what I've asked my clients to do. So we could kind of say, okay, so take this house. This is new construction. What do you love about it? What don't you love about it? Here's the existing construction we're looking at. What do you love about it? What don't you love about it? And then let's compare the two and figure out from there what are the most important things financially. What is the best deal for you? Because sometimes if you're looking at apples and apples and a price point, now you've got to figure with the existing construction, if you're paying 500 for new and 500 for existing, you're going to have to put some money into the new because you're going to have to put curtains, etc. up. But are there going to be bigger ticket items on the existing? For example, is there going to be something that the deck is caving in, or does the basement need to be completely redone, or is the HVAC system going to collapse, or is there a roof that's 22 years old that still looks okay, but we have to be honest, it's probably going to need to be replaced sometime soon. So those are the considerations that you want to make when you're thinking about the difference between new and existing construction. So I hope some of that information proves valuable to you. And if you have any questions, I would love to help you out. My phone number is 847-875-5475. And thanks for tuning in. Take care.